What does it mean to learn and teach in a world shaped by colonialism? What does it mean to learn and think in a world that has seen entire histories rewritten and destroyed, cultures remade and targeted, voices erased and silenced, peoples displaced and killed? What does it mean to learn and teach in a place like this one, built on the backs of the African enslaved on the dispossession of native land? What does it mean to learn and teach here in Watson at Brown, today and now? So my name is Junaid and I'll be the moderator for tonight's discussion. I'm a senior studying political science. The title of tonight's event is Colonialism in the Curriculum.
Colonialism in the Curriculum was a teach-in that was done in the Watson Institute. It kind of came out of Junaid's article that he wrote regarding the changes they're doing in their concentration. Junaid had reached out to me about a week, I would say a week or two before the event. He kind of had mentioned about like what he was trying to do, like, oh, we're doing a teach-in on colonialism, just talking about student experiences in the classroom or the university broadly with their issues like confrontations with colonialism in these spaces. And he mentioned like, oh, I might need you for a panelist.
And Junaid, I think, took the first step. He should be given credit for that, of like bringing us together for organizing ourselves.
So as said before in my introduction, my name is Lukman and I'm concentrating in public policy and South Asian studies.
I appreciate being here today. My name is Rita Mugaba Biko and I'm a student of economics. I'm a junior here.
My name is Sharon Kyoko. I'm a senior development studies and economics.
Aloha kako o lehua nani ko uinoa no ko imayao. Hi everybody, my name is Faith, as Junaid introduced me. I'm a sophomore studying environmental engineering, Kanaka Maoli, Native Hawaiian from the island of Kauai.
I think the reason that's why we came together was partly because the experience is the same. You know, we get to experience the same things over like across the campus, from within the class and outside the class. You raise these type of questions and you realize people are completely clueless.
The reason most of us miss the point of colonization of information in universities like Brown is that we tend to think of history as a continuum. Essentially, that the moral arc of the universe bends towards justice, like Dr. King used to say, but that is not true. History is not just. And the truth is, things change because people speak up.
Many of the political science courses I've taken seem to be designed to teach Western theories, such as liberalism, realism, and constructivism, as if they are the only approaches to IR or political science. We are rarely, if ever, taught about any non-Western political theories or models of governance. The theories, ideas, and assumptions that we are taught and learn have real-world consequences for people all around the world. And one of the best examples of this is from a moment I remember in one of my classes. So we were sitting in section discussing the use of drones, and as the discussion carried on, everyone seemed to have reached a consensus that drones maybe weren't the perfect solution, but that they were still the best thing we have. And yeah, just wait until the quote I have to say. So I still remember what the last student said. And he said, drones maybe are inaccurate and aren't able to just exactly target the terrorists in question, but at the end of the day, they are much better than risking American lives on the ground. Now, I'm from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Pakistan, the province where a majority of these drone strikes happen, where drones hit weddings and homes and children playing. I know the kind of violence that this inflicts upon whole villages, societies, and ways of life. And the fact that students sitting in a classroom here at Brown can reduce the sanctity or the value of a non-American life to nothing, that right there is colonialism.
I think one of my biggest problems was I don't really feel as though I have expectations from Brown to offer me African knowledge, and maybe that in itself is something we need to interrogate. I didn't really come here with the expectation that I was going to learn more than what I know from my own personal experience about Africa. I had hoped to learn theories, but that was probably the limit to it, mainly because just the way in which knowledge is produced, it is very Western based, and it is very much done within these kind of Western towers and institutions. And I realized that for my success in academia, I was going to have to do it independent of my lived experiences and independent on my own academic curiosity.
Western education teaches us that everything we do only affects ourselves, that we are studying as individuals that will contribute to our own success and survival. This outlook ignores the multiplicity in life and places education and work into a bubble, disconnected from the places you're working at and the community you're connected to. Just one example of this colonial discourse is what is happening in Hawaii on Mauna Kea, where a group of scientists want to build a 30-meter telescope on the highest and one of the most sacred mountains in Hawaii. Scientists see this project as a means of exploration that will bring great advancements in science, but are blind to the cultural damage they enact in building the structure. These scientists don't understand why their search for knowledge should be stopped by indigenous people's continuance of theirs. In the words of astronomer Cristina Manzano, the capitalist ideology underpinning scientific exploration today means there will always be a bigger telescope on the drawing board, and Mauna Kea is just a fact of nature, the best place to put it. And as long as we keep taking what is not ours and perpetuating this injustice, we, Western scientists, don't deserve the best.
Faith speech was like the most emotional, but also like the most powerful. You know, when she says something like, for instance, the history of my people is not safe in this space because you're distorting it each and every other day. I'm like, that's quite true, actually, you know?
This issue is deep-rooted in a history of settler colonialism, where from 1893, when the Hawaiian Kingdom was illegally overthrown by American businessmen, our sovereignty has not been recognized. For Kia'i, protectors of the mountain, it isn't just about a telescope. It is about how the native people of this land are the ones who should be deciding how this place is managed. Instead, we are told our opinions don't matter, that our knowledge is secondary to Western science and progress. And yet, there are those who say colonialism does not exist today. It continues in Hawaii, as it does here, linked to a history of oppression, embedded into this colonial process and mindset that seeks to disconnect the ideas we learn from the way they have and are used to delegitimize Native voices and ways of life. As an engineer, a doctor, a scientist, a researcher, a scholar, an educator, a marketer, a developer, or whatever we may be, we cannot expect to take our studies and mobilize it in real life without considering the historical context and broader systems in place. We're not individuals studying particular fields for our chosen career path. We're a part of a community that exists from a local to global scale, all connected by this institution shaped by colonialism.
When everybody started airing out what they're feeling, especially from the audience, for people who were sitting on the panel, most of them I had conversations with them. I knew what they thought, but now everybody in the audience stands up and saying, "Oh, wow, it's not just me, you know, there is a lot of people who are feeling this way, and we can all be wrong, you know, I can be wrong, probably, you know, there could be like another reason as to why I'm ending up to these conclusions, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people almost having the same experience, it says you're not crazy, you know?
So my name is Nadia Ali, and I recently joined Brown. I was quite surprised to find the level of frustration with the lack of, it seems, recognition that it is very important, not just for international students, but for everyone to engage these issues.
The fact that you can walk into a senior level seminar in any area study at Brown or at Watson with no background in what that area's history is or in what that area's politics are is ridiculous to me. And I don't mean to get heated, but for the last 4 years, I have re-taught students about colonization in all of my classes. And I think what Professor Al-Ali said is super important, that we shouldn't be talking about that, but it's difficult not to talk about colonialism in a setting where none of your peers have already learned about colonialism.
I just think that there was something very almost magical in the room. It was, I feel like it was an event that is a kind of, it was a historical moment. And I hope that there'll be more like that.
The event, I think, is the turning point that tells me, look, don't give up, do something, and make sure your voice is heard, and act.
The work that DAB is producing through the members and their task forces is bigger than anything we could have imagined and hoped for to happen in less than a year. And to know this goes back all the way to when we were sitting in these spaces, just talking about these things, thinking about it in Watson. And it's just exciting because everything we have now is only gonna grow and evolve as different students come through DAB. We can support these students and work with the students that come through to eventually reach the point where we're a lot closer to what it means to truly decolonize. To the future decolonizers, we're proud of you.